you can get married at any age, but you can't have children. You can't get pregnant at any age. And I was under the impression that I had all the time in the world because I was getting a period. I thought, oh, my fertility is going to last forever.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning in again to Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. Today's our expert segment again, and I'm so happy to welcome Treva Brandon Scharf back to the program. Treva, thanks so much for joining me again.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, we've done several segments now with Treva, and I will link to those. Treva brings several areas of expertise to the program. She's a fitness professional. She's a love and dating coach. You have a blog, Late Blooming Bride, which leads into what we're going to talk about today. And she co-hosts the popular podcast Done Being Single with her husband Robbie, and the two of them met and got married after 50. So anyway, welcome back, Treva. After, we talked off camera after our last couple of interviews, and the subject of children came up. And I mentioned that that's something we have in common. You and I do not have children. And that one of our series of videos that are quite popular on the channel, unexpectedly, are childless or child-free after 50, and how those of us who chose to be child-free feel about that. Regrets, no regrets. And you mentioned something to me that I find fascinating, and as I'm sure do thousands, if not millions of other women out there may be going through this right now. You chose to try to get pregnant later in life, without being married.
I got in my early 40s. Okay, so just backing up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I forgot to get married in my 20s and 30s, and as a result, forgot to have a baby. And I got to something kind of set off in me. I don't know what that moment was where I was called to try to have a baby on my own. And I had no boyfriend. I wasn't seeing anybody, no dates, nothing. I had no prospects. I mean, I was SOL in terms of sperm. And I was 42, and really time was ticking. And I was, obviously I was probably past my eggs were past their expiration date. But I thought, you know what, if not now, when? If not me, who? So I launched into action, and without really thinking it through. But when you have no time, you don't have time to think it through. There's an old saying, leap and the net shall appear. And I leapt. So I kind of got myself up to speed as fast as I could. I mean, I think I was about to turn 43, and I didn't have any time to put all the pieces in place. So I just found out what I needed to find out, which was donor sperm. That was the fastest. And at that time, I was still getting my period regularly, no problem. I was, according to the doctors, making enough eggs, and they were good, and all systems were go. And so I just went on to, I went to a sperm bank, went online, and found some jizz, some kind of jizz that looked like me, sort of same coloring, and tried to find a guy that didn't have a bunch of mental illness, or that looked kind of normal. And I bought a vial or two and went to work and started off with inseminations. And I should also tell you, I had broached the idea with my parents. So I'm an only child. So I thought this was, a pretty major decision to make, a real life changer, potentially. So I thought I should include my parents into my project, which was probably not a good idea because they were, I mean, really not approving at all, like borderline condemning my choice to do that.
What was their main objection, sorry.
Well, fear, and I had fear too. I mean, who wants to do this by themselves? And you think you should have a husband, and you think you need a man, which, by the way, you don't need. Well, you do need a man, but you don't need a husband. And they were old school and worried, and also, and for good reason. I was I'm a fitness professional. I'm a trainer. I was a trainer. I wasn't a high power lawyer and making gazillions of dollars. It was well founded fear on their part and worry, because probably the money part and the lack of support part. So they were not on board. And so I went ahead anyway, and I did it in secret. So I just proceeded, and I went ahead and got the sperm, and then had what's called IUIs, inseminations. So there's no surgical or no drugs needed. So this is like the basic way to do it. You just go, you give your sperm to the doctor. The doctor, when you're ovulating, you just go and get yourself in the stirrups, and then they just, shoot the sperm in you. And then, so that's how it started.
There's probably a lot of younger women listening, and we want to get to obviously what the outcome, what happened, how you came through this emotionally. But I want to maybe back up just for a second too, and that is, what do you attribute your wanting all of a sudden to have a child? Was it out of fear that you might regret? Because I get this question all the time. People are struggling with this, whether or not they're making the right decision, not having children, or you know.
I had always wanted children, just like I'd always wanted to get married. It just was never the right time. It just didn't happen. I just didn't get married. And so one thing tends to follow another, right? So the marriage thing wasn't happening. And like I said, I don't know what that moment was where I just thought, holy shit, I have got to do this. I can't wait. I mean, you can get married at any age, but you can't have children. You can't get pregnant at any age. And I was under the impression that I had all the time in the world because I was getting a period. I thought, oh, my fertility is going to last forever. No, it does not last forever. So I can't remember what your original question was, but it wasn't like I didn't want kids. I did, but it didn't happen in a timely fashion for me, like for most people.
Yeah, well, most of the women that I interviewed that don't have, and maybe I'll jumping ahead a little bit here. It wasn't successful for you. You do not have children. We'll go into that, but the question, they didn't regret it. They look back and they're glad. The whole child-free thing, and then it's a conversation in and of itself, because we get criticized a lot, but for being selfish or whatever, not wanting children. You're different. You wanted children. You went to a great length to try to, to make that happen. So tell me how that was for you emotionally and how you feel about it now.
Okay, well, I don't regret it. And I moved heaven and earth. And I drained my savings, and I ruined my credit, and I went into debt, and I'm still paying it off. But it was by far the greatest thing I've ever done. By far.
Tell me why.
We're at a minute of it. Because it just changed everything. It changed the way I took care of myself, my self-care. It changed the way I looked at money and appreciated money, and respected money that I didn't have at the time. It changed the way I felt just about my own power. It changed my dating life. I just grew immense respect for myself. And as a result, I kind of grew up. And I raised my own bar, not because on purpose, just by virtue of all of the stuff I was going through by myself on my own, having to be my own, partner, my own husband, my own handholder, this is stuff that people usually go through with a partner. Single motherhood by choice is not for pussies. It is the hardest thing. Just going through the emotional, the roller coaster of it. But when you're alone in doing it, you can't fall apart. You got to stay so strong. You have to be your own pillar of strength. You've got to be your own source of validation, your own source of reinforcement and support. Those are all things and skills that I had, I guess, but were just more reinforced as I was going through the fertility process.
How did you come to terms with it not being successful after going, to the utmost extreme of trying to do this?
That was a tough call. The doctor, well, every call that the doctor makes 2 weeks later, it's, you got to wait 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks to see if it was successful. And it was always no. And I'd try again. So I started off doing inseminations, as I was telling you, and then it got more involved. So, and doing inseminations is the easiest and cheapest. Then you take it to the next level, which is IVF. That's kind of bringing in the big guns, and the fertility drugs, and the surgical procedures. And I got really crafty and resourceful, and I was finding all kinds of ways to get cheaper drugs. And I went on Craigslist, and it was like it was such a project. And then I did that 3 times. So 6 rounds of IVF, 6 inseminations, 3 rounds. Oh, but at this point I had met someone. So there's a whole other, when I say what changed during the course of my quest, my baby quest, my dating life, for sure. I met guys. I met really nice guys that supported me. Some, some wanted to give me their sperm and would have knocked me up. And I did meet someone during this time that was had become a partner with me for about a year of the journey. So we were banging away and still nothing. So, I mean, I was doing it, the old fashioned way, the science way. And I could not get knocked up to save my life. So 3 rounds of IVF, and then that didn't work. And then I enlisted the help of my cousin, a younger cousin, and she became my egg donor.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you really did do everything.
Oh, no. I'm telling you, I went to the ends of the earth to make this happen. So
that's the last resort, isn't it? The egg donor.
Oh, egg donor. Yeah. Sure. And then that didn't work. And then I was done. So then I was out of time, out of money, out of eggs. And then I had to be done. So yes, that last call from my doctor telling me that it hadn't worked was devastating. Devastating. I could sit around all day long questioning the universe. Why? But I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't.
Looking back at it now, and again, keeping in mind that there's probably quite a few people watching that may be in that same boat. Would you do it again? What you went through? Would you want to go through that again? Or how would you advise somebody else if they're in your same situation?
Totally. You have to do it. You cannot wait. You must do it. If you have this much money and this much courage and this much nerve, you can't stop and go, let's see, can I afford it? How am I going to do this? Should I do? No, you've got to get to work, man. You can't sit around. You can't fuck around. You got to just do it. And it's like shoot first and ask questions later. That's what I did. I never stopped. Once I decided, I was on my way. And that's what you have to be. Even if you feel in your heart, somewhere in your soul, oh my God, I'm not ready, I can't do this. You have to power through those moments of self-doubt and fear. And you have to keep thinking of the higher goal, Yeah. And so there was nothing going to stop me until I was stopped.
Mm-hmm. Again, when I hear the comments that we get on our other videos and people are struggling with, whether, I guess they're struggling with the decision of, do they really want kids, or are they trying to have kids, to give their parents grandkids, but what society is expecting of them? And I think you're somebody that you go after your own, you march after your own drummer versus what the outside forces push on you. And I'm speaking for you now. I guess I should be asking that. I mean,
Yeah, you can't do anything because you're supposed to. I mean, especially getting pregnant, you do it because you want it, and you got to want it so bad that no amount of fear or self-doubt will stop you. You just, like I said, you just power through it just with blinders on. No, I'm not looking. I'm going. I'm single-minded. I've got, super focus. No matter, and I had friends and family not on board. They weren't, some were cheering me on all the way. And then there were those that were like super irresponsible of you, super selfish of you.
Yeah, there's lots of critique out there, criticism, warranted and not warranted, that is associated with whatever choice you make, whether you have no children, 8 children, whatever. Treva, we actually went way over, but I just find this interesting, and I think so will others. What I like about your story, what I think is interesting, what I think is important, that you went through all this, but you weren't successful. But you're living a wonderful, fulfilled life now. Like you said, it changed you. You and Robbie met. I mean, if you do take this on with the risks involved, and you do fail, there is a very bright tunnel on the other side. I think it's all about attitude.
It is so win-win. Okay, so maybe, your bank account will suffer, but you will have grown in unimaginable ways. You will grow, you will change, you will evolve, everything changes not, okay, I can't speak for everybody, but my assumption is that doing it, going through the process, to the very end, seeing it through, giving it your all. I mean, you could do that with anything, and you will have grown and become a better person for it.
Well, I look forward to the comments we get on this and the questions, and obviously, we'll link to all of your information. Treva, is accessible online per email. She has a very popular blog, Late Blooming Bride, which you also may be interested in. So I'll link on that. And again, I'm interested in the comments, because it's different, much different than the previous episodes we've done on childless and child-free. Treva, thank you so much, especially joining me all the way from Mexico with your hurt back.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay. I'll be okay.
You're a trooper. You've proven that. All right. We'll see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
Thank you.
For more information on living your life to the fullest after 50, please visit our website, secondact.tv. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Button's right over here. See you next time.